want to thank you. We have earned a clear, convincing victory. I also want you to know how excited that we are to be moving on to November.
I congratulated him on a wonderful race and obviously a great victory. And I committed to him my full, undivided support to see that he will be our next governor of the state of Georgia.
Months of scathing accusations, embarrassing audio recordings, and an onslaught of attack ads. And tonight, an early victory for Secretary of State Brian Kemp.
Kemp has secured the Republican nomination for Georgia's next governor, with Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle conceding just a short time ago.
And it wasn't even close. Let's take a look at the numbers. Brian Kemp with 69% of the vote at this point to 31% for Casey Cagle, who won just 3 of Georgia's 159 counties. Kemp was endorsed by President Trump. He will face Democrat Stacey Abrams in November, a race that promises fireworks in a shifting political landscape across the state of Georgia.
Well, let's kick off our live team coverage tonight with Fox 5's Doug Evans live at the Kemp election headquarters in Athens. Doug?
Sine, as you and Russ said, things developed rather quickly tonight. Brian Kemp was to take the room here at this hotel in Athens to thank his supporters, to meet with them, and tell them that they were going to continue to watch the numbers throughout the night. That was 8:15. The door that would allow him to enter the ballroom opened, and then it promptly closed. Staffers began leaving the room as well. What they learned right before Brian Kemp was to step out that door is that the Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle was on the phone, and he was ready to concede. What's interesting to me is that the race for November began tonight. It began about 10 minutes in to Brian Kemp's speech. He thanked his family. He thanked his supporters. He thanked President Trump and Vice President Pence. And then he went on the attack against Stacey Abrams. He said, look, follow the money. The money that would support Stacey Abrams is coming from California, Massachusetts, New York. He accused the Democrats of running a campaign that was not going to exist in Georgia, but would exist outside of Georgia. Let's hear from the candidate.
George Soros has already chipped in $1 million. Hillary is already on the campaign trail. And Stacey's money's coming from California, New York, and Massachusetts, not Georgia.
So the race for November begins tonight with that statement. You're going to hear a lot in the next 24 hours about unity. Nathan Deal has already reached out to Brian Kemp. As you heard, Casey Cagle has already thrown his support for Brian Kemp as well. The Republicans coming together to face off against Stacey Abrams in November. Live with the Kemp campaign in Athens, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
In fact, a unity rally planned for Thursday in Peachtree Corners. Doug, thanks very much. Now, during his concession speech, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle vowed to support Kemp in his bid for Georgia's next governor, despite the low blows and negative ads over the past few months.
Fox 5's Morse Diggs is live for us at Cagle's campaign headquarters in DeKalb County. Morse.
While Cagle was the leading vote getter in the primary, you still have to keep in mind the majority of voters wanted someone else. The most important vote to go against Cagle did not come from Georgia, but from Washington, the occupant of the White House.
I am the most blessed man alive, and each and every one of you need to know that. Didn't turn out the way we wanted it.
The lieutenant governor, with his family gathered around him, tries to maintain a stiff upper lip after a crushing defeat in his bid to become the next governor.
I know it's bittersweet in the moment, but will we see you in public life? Continue in public life in some way?
Well, obviously, I'll be there to support Brian. I want to see him succeed, and but in terms of my political career, no, it will. This is the end of the road.
The endorsement by the president.
It was.
How can you quantify that?
Well, yeah, it was. There's no question. I mean, this victory was undeniably a Trump victory, and we saw it. We obviously charted a course that we thought we could overcome, but I mean, this is the most powerful man in the world, and he was the one person that took me down.
Despite the political barbs back and forth, Cagle called Kemp a dear friend. from the campaign of Mr. Cagle in DeKalb County. I'm Morse Diggs, Fox 5 News.
Morse, thanks. Again, it will be Brian Kemp against Democrat Stacey Abrams in November. And Abrams has had a pretty significant head start for the general election.
If elected, she would become the first African-American woman governor in the United States. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live in Northeast Atlanta, where Democrats are reacting to Kemp's victory. Deidre.
And Georgia Democratic Party Chair Dubose Porter was here at Manuel's Tavern when those election returns came in, and he did not hold back once the GOP race was called for Brian Kemp. He called Brian Kemp a national embarrassment, saying that he would be bad for Georgia business. He also said that he would drive industry away. He said that Georgia voters had no choice, but if they wanted to move forward, to vote for Democratic candidate Stacey Abrams as governor, and that for businesses and children to prosper, Georgia voters must support Abrams. Now, he believes Georgia's race for governor will mark a defining moment in Georgia politics.
Whether you want to move this state forward or not is what you'll be deciding in November. If you want to attract to Amazon, they'll only come with someone like Stacey Abrams. They're not going to come with a Brian Kemp. He would be terrible for the national image. His shotgun pickup truck ads send a message that the undertone is racist, the undertone is going backwards, and it's a very narrow view of the world. Even rural Georgia is broader than that. So who he's speaking to and who supports is a very narrow part of Georgia. The issues that Stacey Abrams will make happen will touch everybody and raise up everybody throughout the state.
And we reached out to the Stacey Abrams camp for comment this evening and told that she would not be making any comments, any remarks this evening, but that she would be speaking publicly, holding a news conference later this week. That's the latest here at Manuel's Tavern. Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
All right, thank you, Deidre. We want to take a look now at some of the other big runoff races. State Senator David Schaefer and former Georgia House member Jeff Duncan facing off for the Republican spot on the ballot for lieutenant governor, neck and neck, both with 50% at this point. Democrats have already nominated Sarah Riggs Amico as their November candidate. The general election winner will succeed Casey Cagle as lieutenant governor.
Now to the Republican runoff for Secretary of State. Brad Raffensperger has won that race with 62% of the vote to David Bell Isle's 38%. Bell Isle, the former Alpharetta mayor. Former Congressman John Barrow is the Democratic nominee for Secretary of State.
And finally, the Democratic runoff for State School Superintendent Sid Chapman and Otha Thornton going head-to-head for a ballot spot here. Here's a look at the results right now. Otha has won with 59% to Sid Chapman's 41%. The winner facing incumbent Republican Richard Woods in November.
And you can count on Fox 5 for all your runoff election results. You can find all of the returns on our website at fox5atlanta.com.